We are called to be the light of the world. What does that look like to you?
Shines in the darkness. It overcomes the darkness. And without Christ, we're, we're without hope. We're in the dark.
I have a story about faith and light. um, a few years ago, I was at a low spot in my life because of some circumstances. And I was laying in bed one night, and it was late. It was like 1:30 in the morning, and I couldn't sleep. And I started to question my faith and God. And, I started kind of talking to God and saying, how do I know that you are real? I wish that you could just show me somehow that you are real so that I have no doubt in my life that you do exist and that what I've believed in all my life is truth. And then I was kind of struggling with this for a few minutes, and all of a sudden, I had my eyes closed. There was a bright light in the middle of the night. And my first thought was, yikes, am I dying? Am I dead? Is this the bright light? And I, was kind of moving and said, no, I'm still alive, okay. And then I realized it was coming from the bedroom window. And we have big trees in front of our bedroom windows. And in the summertime, it's full of leaves and there's no light getting through there. And then I realized that it was the moon. And we just happened to have that night, at that time, a supermoon. And it was a very bright moon shining in through a small rectangular opening in the leaves, directed right onto my face as I was questioning God and asking him, you know, wishing that he could show himself and be real to me. And I just I just got a huge smile on my face. And I said, okay, God, you showed me you are the light, you are real. I didn't have any more doubts. And I was so excited to have that experience that just as I was questioning God, he brought this light into my life and shone it onto my face so that he could say to me, yes, I'm real, and I'm the light of the world.
That's a great
So,
story.
Yeah, it is a great story.
That is a great story.
And it's
I
so
was
cool
excited about it.
that the literal and the figurative
Yes,
hit at the same time, because it was a literal light,
right.
but also very much the figurative light. And it's all cool. That's awesome.
But to me, the neat part of that is, I think every one of us at some point we struggle with our faith,
Sure.
and we want answers, and
We're looking for a sign or
yeah,
direction.
just-
Sometimes, what did you say? Give me, what do you want me to do today,
Yeah.
God? But like really let me know so I know what to do. I do that
Yeah.
often, several times a week. Like, what's my day supposed to be? Because of course I have a million zillion plans of how I have everything laid out, and I'm like, is this what I'm supposed to do?
my brother called me last summer, I guess it was, and he's down in Florida. We talk several times a week, but he said, David, he said, I'm really struggling with the things that I've believed all my life. I just am struggling with them. And he said, I recently filled out some paperwork. I think it was at the doctor's office or something, and they asked for a religious affiliation, and he said, I put it down agnostic Christian.
There's anyone.
And I said, well, you're going to have to explain that to me. But he said, I still consider myself a Christian, but he said, I have all these questions. I have all these doubts, and I need answers. And I think the important thing is for us all to realize that what, we all struggle with this on occasion, and we need we need that reassurance. We need whatever.
We need your moon.
Yeah.
Super.
We all need your moon. And we,
It was
But
God's supermoon.
One of the neat things that I've learned over the last few years with LED lighting, you got this little teeny tiny beam of light, and the scripture doesn't say you have to be a bright light. It doesn't say you have to be the biggest light. You have to be a light, and I'm reminded of that every time I torment my dog with a little red.
the laser pointer. Cats like this too.
Yeah, but it doesn't take a lot of light to make the darkness go away. And so many times we think that, well, I don't really have all that much to offer. I don't have, but that little bit of light, is an important bit of light.
That's great.
And how
I'm
can we,
taking that home tonight and like ruminating on that whole bit there. That's great.
and how can we be that light? I'll sell my Blue Easter service. I did it very different than any other service I've ever done in my life, but I did it from a perspective of, are we comfortable just being with people in the middle of grief?
No.
Are we comfortable with being with people in the middle of questions? Would you feel safe coming to church, questioning, knowing that people aren't going to judge you, but they'll just sit with you? Because I can think of times when I was at my lowest, and the people that I loved weren't the people that tried to answer my questions. Those were the people I hated. The people I loved were the ones that just sat with me, the ones that just spent time with me. I saw them as light, and in the case I'm thinking in my head, the Christians tried to give me answers, and they were driving me nuts. My atheist roommate would just sit with me and didn't try to tell me I should be feeling better, didn't try to tell me all the great things I had going in life, just sat with me, and that was more light to me than all the answers in the world.
When Job's friends came the first week, they just sat and didn't do a thing. They just sat with him. Of course, when they started asking,
Then they blew it by speaking.
then they blew it. But yeah, they just sat with him.
And I love that imagery, Job, and I used it at the Blue Easter service. I just avoided the fact that they blew it by speaking, but in the beginning, I'm like, that is how powerful it is that they go into the ash heap with Job and just sit with him for a long time. Then they open their mouths.
That's the whole concept with Stephen's ministry is coming alongside.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do sometimes because I always want to be the fixer. You got to fight that urge to try and fix things and just come alongside and be there.
And a big part of that principle is trusting that God is the true light.
Yeah.
And He'll fix, not you.
Right.
Right. So my job isn't to come and fix. My job is to come and be present and trust that the true light shines in the darkness. I use that phrase a lot, I think, in church. The light shines in the darkness.
And that's a good strategy for somebody who needs help emotionally or questioning their faith. But if somebody needs more than that, needs physical help, or help with food or money or something like that, just to come and sit with them, I don't think it's going to do it. So I think you have to have action, do something then. And so it just depends on the circumstance, what our light will be,
Great
or
point.
how we'll use our faith.
Because the Bible makes it very clear, saying to people that are hungry, I'll pray for you. Isn't what we are to do, and that's why I've been so impressed by this congregation. And Michelle, you've been a huge part of that with the amount of food we've gotten out, and and worked hard to get out into this community at a time when people are most desperate for it. My trust is always that that is a light moment. That even though we don't worship at it, it is a projection of light into the community. So yeah, please do more than just sit. Grief, sit, hunger, get them something to eat.
Yeah.